Hallelujah. And horrible lighting. I've tried for about 30 minutes to get this live going. Very difficult connectivity issues. And now I'm in the basement. And welcome to the Seeker's Reset. I am Robert and broadcasting, as always, from the home that I grew up in, where I am in the midst of my very own Seeker's Reset. It seems like the recording quality of this is kind of low in every possible way, which is unfortunate because the topic for this is kind of interesting, but it's just going to be a preview anyway because um, it's a very important topic that needs to be elaborated on in specific ways. The topic is new path, new math. It's an expression that I kind of came upon about 3 or 4 years ago. And it relates to the idea that when we are embarking on a path, a new path, and in this case, we're talking about hopefully the truest of all paths, then the math of our reality will at least appear to change. It's why they say things like when you go down the rabbit hole, you step through the looking glass, and then suddenly up is down and left is right, and white is black, etc., etc. So you have a reference point for the concept very easily because you've heard things like that before. But I want to ground it into something that feels a bit more real. And as I said, this will just be a preview and sort of a touchstone for how I refer to things in subsequent episodes. Everything in your reality has likely changed, right, in some way, or it feels like it is changing. I've said in previous episodes that things that used to work are probably no longer working very well. In my case, I became very adept at caring for my physical health. And I knew, the nutrition protocols, workout regimens, stretching, yoga, breath work, meditation, self-care, practitioners, acupuncture, chiropractor, Reiki, supplements, you name it. There was a list. And every single one of these things still plays a role for me. But I went through a valley that I never expected to go through about 2 years ago, starting about 2 years ago, in which suddenly I was skeptical of all of those things, every one of them, and I stopped doing almost all of them for a period of time. Never all at once, but pretty much every single one I stopped for a period of time, and most of them I stopped together for a while because something stopped working. No matter what protocol I was using, no matter what combination of modalities and approaches, I just couldn't get my body to respond the way that I was used to. And to this day, that's the case. I'm healthier when I weigh about 20, at least 15, maybe 20 pounds more than I weigh right now. I hate being this thin. I hate looking this like sickly, especially in this hard light down here. But and so I hate these things, and it has taken me about a year and a half, maybe almost 2 full years, possibly 2.5, because it's been a process to recognize what I think is true, which is I am getting a completely different relationship with my body and a completely different relationship with health and a completely different relationship with the way I feel and think about these things. And there are a number of ways to look at this, but the bottom line is it's a new math right? To, I've been giving up more and more the math of I can only feel good if I have a certain amount of muscle. I can only feel good if I weigh a certain amount. Another issue for me is sleep. I can only feel good if I sleep a certain amount. I can only feel good if I eat certain foods. All of these markers, weight, muscle mass, strength weighed by weightlifting, looks according to a certain measurement that I've had my whole life, a certain standard of how I look. And sleep. Like if I don't sleep enough, I have a bias that like I automatically am not doing well, I can't feel well, et cetera, et cetera. Something's wrong. This is just a handful of metrics related to health and looks. And then sexuality within that too. Like if I don't look well enough, if I don't feel well enough, nobody will find me attractive. So there's a handful of things in there. The math of my mindset, the math of my self-acceptance, the math of my belief in my own progress is contained in there. And it seems to me that what happened over the last 2.5 years, it's still happening now, is that God or nature, but I'm tending towards God more, even though I don't really have a explicit relationship with God per se. I will talk about that in another episode too. It's very interesting stuff. God is forcing me to accept myself in a new way. Can I love myself when I'm not in shape? Can I love myself when I don't like the way I look? Can I love myself when I don't sleep? Can I love myself when I'm not as strong as I want to be? Can I love myself when I don't feel like women are giving me sexual attention? And the answer to that question is yes, but have I ever done it before? Have I ever loved myself in spite of all those things being negative? No, I haven't. For 40 years of my life, I'm 42, so, consciously started had the chance to love myself, say around 3. So for 39 years of my life, roughly, I don't think I've loved myself in spite of those things. I've loved myself when those were going well, or when other things were numbing me to it, like drinking. I was sometimes in really bad shape when I was drinking a lot, but drinking made me feel a lot better about myself in a lot of ways. So the new path, the new math is that a different standard starts to emerge. If we are sincerely seeking love, if we are sincerely seeking truth, our soul, then we are going to begin to have to give up the standards that we held before for what it means to be doing well, making progress, etc. The material standards of life are going to decline. Money, status, looks, even like certain feelings of well-being that we used to have, which were really predicated on states of being sort of high. Like a lot of feelings of well-being in our life up to now have not been at the core. They've been layers of our being, and those layers were sort of titillated by different things, but they never were going deep into the core of us. And you know this. You would not at all take interest in what I have to say if you believed that your life till this point was actually genuinely happy, fulfilling, joyful, and loving. You know that. And what I'm here to say is that we still will struggle to give up the standards upon which all that was based. We're going to struggle at that because what it's going to reveal over time is the false beliefs that are governing everything that we do. So there's a false belief that I'm not going to feel good if I don't look good, and what and how I even look and what it means to look good. There's false beliefs governing those things. There's false beliefs about whether we can feel strong even if we haven't slept, even if we can't lift a lot of weight, even if we're going through a period of what feels like sickness when we lose a lot of muscle. And I promise you, if you're on this path, you've already experienced this or you're going to. I'm using mostly health because health is something that has been a major part of my journey, major challenge for me. And I also want to take a moment to refer to such an amazing channel. It's called The Mindful Gardener. Look at the YouTube channel, The Mindful Gardener. There's a man named Helmut who runs it, and there's a primary contributor. Her name is Sam Miller. They're different people. They both have amazing things to say. Helmut is a character. Um, Sam is like super smart and really eloquent and very inspiring and encouraging. Helmut is quite funny and also very smart, but they've both been through everything that they're talking about, and it has to do with the change in understanding what chronic illness is, what it really means, how it is a catalyst for waking up and healing. Um, and it relates a lot to what I'm talking about here. So there's a lot of health components to this episode. Check out The Mindful Gardener. Meanwhile, Divine Truth, which I refer to all the time, is all about the soul. And the soul winds up being the governing factor in everything. So as soon as you start to like really accept the possibility that the soul is actually the main factor in everything, that our health, our wealth, our well-being, everything is ultimately a matter of our relationship with our soul, then you start to change how you manage the physical things in front of you, right? And it's completely different. And the Mindful Gardener actually is really coming close to even what Divine Truth is about. But Divine Truth is about God and God's laws, whereas the Mindful Gardener really only goes up to the level of what we could call like the mind and psyche and spirit. And I do believe that the Divine Truth goes the distance, if you will, but the Mindful Gardener is an amazing bridge. So all of these things start to change. But as I said, they're deeply ingrained in us, and they start to show us, well, you don't want to. I said for a year, for more than a year, I was telling myself, I'm going to have to get used to loving myself or accepting myself or living, whether or not I sleep, whether or not I feel healthy, whether or not I like the way I look. It has taken me at least a year of consciously considering that possibility to finally get to a place where I'm beginning to accept that reality as part of the process, that I can gain a deeper understanding of myself and who I really am, and love myself and receive love from God if I do not strive for perfection in health, wealth, anything before I live. So the new path and new math is about adjusting to what really matters. And the goal is to pray and to intend to align that as much as we possibly can with what is real and what is true. Whereas a lot of us, especially if you're coming from sort of a new agey, shamanic, even Gnostic world, even Jungian, and all of these things have value to me. They have had value and they continue to have value now, but it took some time. I had to give them a lot of them up for a while. They all have value, but many of them are going to refer to this idea of creating our own reality. And I'm telling you that the more you go down this path, you actually are going to have to sacrifice this idea of creating our reality that we've been taught in favor of aligning with what's true and then creating from there. That there's an alignment with what's true, and that the reality that we want to create is a reality aligned with the truth. And I'm not up to that level yet. I'm only scratching it a little bit. But this is also part of the new math. It's not about creating reality right now, having what you want, manifesting, dot, 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 dot. It's about going deeper into what's true and then starting again with a totally new set of standards and new math. A lot of it will be resonant and harmonic with things you've wanted, felt, thought, believed in the past. But at the core, it will be a different experience of it, and you will have a different relationship with all of it. That's my experience thus far, and I'm only just a little into this clearing, you could say. New path, new math. We have to open to the new, as if we were children, learning for the first time, tasting for the first time. What does it taste like? What does it sound like? Like reacquainting ourselves with our senses and our sensitivities and beginning to feel out reality from a brand new place. It's a process that ideally would have happened when we were children. So the new math is actually is really old. Yeah, and this tends to happen, right? When we go through these processes of healing, is that the old becomes new again in a lot of ways. Life becomes completely new standards, new goals, and a new language starts to emerge. Like the way that we feel like God and life is communicating with us will start to change. And we'll have to learn this new language and learn the new math. And part of what will pull us forward is when the shift happens from this sense of burden, it's so hard all the time, to curiosity. What is this new math? How does it add up? How can I learn it? How can I use it? How can I be part of it? What is this new language of the world and of life? How can I open to that and follow it and learn it and see where it rewards me and where this math rewards me and where it penalizes me and what it's teaching me? I went through a period where nothing added up. I felt betrayed. I felt like the language of life that I had learned completely failed me. It's just now that I'm starting to find this new thread. It's like, oh, there's something here. It's not only exciting, it's beautiful, it's loving, it's true. And I can learn it and I can experience it. And it will bring out what's been inside of me locked away my entire life. It will bring that out finally. That's the feeling. On a good day, at a good time, I can feel that now. I pray that for all of you as well. So, new path, new math, and new language. Thank you for watching. I'm going to be going into a lot of this a lot more in subsequent episodes. This is like I said, kind of like a base for a much greater exploration of these topics. I'm grateful you put up with bad sound, bad lighting, and God only knows what other technical difficulties have gone into this episode. This is the Seeker's Reset. I am Robert. I wish you well. Take care.